this quick video here in to kind of review or at least get some first impressions of this Games and Gears Mark IV Ultimate Series 2 brushes. So this is one of the brushes. This is a size 2, I believe, and you know, really interesting design on these. Kind of nice feel, nice metal quality handle there. So that looks good. And we're going to do a little bit of painting on it, so painting with this. So I'm just going to do some touch up here on my miners models. The first thing to note is, you know, you look at the tip here. The tip looks okay. And what I should actually preface this with is I'm going to be comparing this to one of my normal workhorses, which is the Winsor Newton Series 7. This is a size 2, and you can see I have not taken very good care of this brush, but it's a workhorse of mine, and this is a better head-to-head comparison of these two brushes. So first thing I should point out is if you look at the heads of these two brushes here, they both seem to keep a decent tip. I would say the Winsor Newton tip may be a little bit sharper, and that's kind of hard to see in the camera here. But the other thing to really point out here, especially on the Winsor Newton, is not necessarily the length of the bristles, which is also better, but the belly. So you can see there's kind of, see how the bristles kind of go like this. That's a really nice brush. So when you're looking at like picking a brush in a shop or something like that, you want to look at the quality of the tip. That's like the most important thing. Then you want to see like, okay, how long are the bristles? And then what does it have a belly like that? You can see this one here, the tip is just more tapered, so it's just more of a triangle shape, whereas this has that belly in the middle. And the belly is great because that allows you to hold a little bit more paint, and then the length of the bristles will also help the paint as far as holding paint and then letting things flow off. So the first thing you'll notice, first thing I noticed was the tip. The next thing is, you know, this action here. You can make a reasonably long brush with it, or if you're going in for fine detail, not something you would do with a size 2, but maybe with something smaller, you might actually want to get in like real tight like this if you're going to paint eyes or something really tight. So that's a good thing. I do have some concern about the bristles. The other thing I'll point out is when I first opened this, the bristles were coated in like that bristle brush solutions. It's kind of like, it's just soap essentially, so you're going to want to wash that off. So I went ahead and washed that off, and I got my brush here nice and ready. We're going to do just a little bit of highlighting on these. This is something you might use a size 1 or 2 brush on, and I'm going to use some of this candlelight yellow just to kind of bring out some highlights here on this guy. Let me see if I can throw him on a stand. Probably should have done that before we started here, but hey, I just kicked the camera on, so give me a break. Just kidding. All right. So we're going to work mainly on Colossus here, and we're going to apply apply a little bit of a glaze. This is a Reaper Palomino Gold, so this is a really nice color. And I'm going to apply it as a glaze. So I'm not going to do like, I'm not really aiming to do a fine highlight. Oh, that's the wrong, oops. That was totally wrong. Grabbed the wrong bottle there, one sec. I'm not looking to do fine highlighting here. I'm just looking to do kind of a little bit of touch up, a little bit of detail work here, right? Bring that gold color back out. So this is good. These are going to go on super thin. So I'm thinning this out. Okay. And let's give it a go. So mix that up. Okay. And so I want this to go, I'm just going to kind of highlight all sections here, right? Right, just kind of want to bring out some of these leading edges of the model. And really I'm looking at, you know, how good am I able to control the liquid? How good is my tip staying together? And this isn't like fine detail work. This is just, right, really just sort of embellishing some of the detail on the model here. And with this being a glaze, this should dry a bit thinner. I do like the control of the brush initially. So there's that, and I can feather out, right? So this is really the type of you know, painting you would creep up on. And so size 2 should give me the ability to do this kind of level work, especially on like a higher quality. This is the kind of work I would normally do on my Winsor Newton. Right. And I'm just gonna bring out a little more of the gold here. And then just feather it out, right? And you would do this kind of throughout the model. So it does seem to hold the tip pretty well, at least so far. And it's a shorter belly. Like I said, it doesn't really have a belly. So I am actually having to go into the well maybe just a little bit more often than I would with the Winsor Newton. So this seems to be okay, right? And then I'll actually dial it up one more color. And then I also want to apply a wash with this. Because again, that's another thing you would do with the size 2 brush. Curious to see how the size 1 works, because size 1 is really what I use for everything else on this model. I paint eyes with size 1 because Winsor Newton size 1s they keep the tip well enough to do that. I can actually paint eyes with the size 2 Winsor Newton because it keeps a fair tip. But it's a little bit, it can be a little bit trickier to use a size 2 for something like that, mainly because the body of the bristles is in the way. I don't even need that. That's not working for me. Okay. Well, that's looking pretty good. All right. So rather than have you guys sit here and watch the rest of this, I'm going to go ahead and pause and show you what it's like at the end. Okay, guys, so I went ahead and did my little touch-up job, my little highlight job. And as you can see, not too bad, right? Kind of exaggerated all of the detail on the models a bit. So not too bad, right? I was able to accomplish what I was going for initially with using the brush. But yeah, so some of my comments on the brush, well, to my major disappointment, like when I first started painting with this, I noticed that, hey, this is quite a springy set of bristles here. This is way more springy than a natural bristle brush, like a Kolinsky brush. Kolinsky brushes tend to be floppier, which, you know, is kind of a negative to the brush, I suppose, in terms of your ability to control with it. But it's also, you know, the paint will flow off better on the brush. And then, like I was saying, one of the main advantages is being able to maintain a very sharp tip. So you can pull this into a really, really fine tip, right? You can pull that into something very sharp. Whereas this now, because I made the determination that it is at least, this is probably gold Taklon, I think, which is a good synthetic bristle, but over time this tip is going to curl, and in fact it's starting to curl right now. I was having some difficulty maintaining the sharpness of the tip, Luckily for this job, it didn't really call for anything specifically too detailed, but it did get a little frustrating at times, and I think that was probably my biggest disappointment in this brush, is that it is not a sable tip. But that's preference, but then it's also, in my opinion, that does actually diminish the quality of the brush, because like I said, I beat up this brush. You can see it's in desperate need of a wash, but it still holds its tip. It still holds a tip great. I do that with a lot of my Kolinsky brushes, unfortunately. The handle is the best part of this. There are times where, I did want to go in and just do this. And you have that option now. The handle is super nice. The weight is pretty nice. It's a little off balance, but it's not the end of the world. Would I recommend this brush? Well, being a natural bristle guy, I wouldn't recommend it to people unless they really liked working with synthetic brushes. And there's lots of really good painters out there that use synthetic bristle brushes. It's just the majority, I think, are Kolinsky sable people like myself, red sable people. So it's a nice brush. I'm not sure how long, over time, how things are going to work here with the way this ferrule is. You can see there's still a little bit of brush soap or conditioner or something on here. So, but I'm going to continue to paint with the brush. I don't know that I can recommend it at this point. It's, like I said, you have to really like the handle, and you have to really like synthetic bristle to be down with that. But look, I also like it's already starting to, the print on this nice metal thing is already starting to wear. And I've used this one time, right? I touched up 3 models with it. I didn't really do anything too major with it. So yeah, so anyways, those are my initial thoughts on this. I would probably weigh a buying option if you're going for, say, army painter, or I don't know, GW brushes tend to be nicer. Even the synthetic ones are nicer, but they don't, again, for the best bang for your buck is going to be like a Winsor Newton or a Raphael, or those type of brushes. This brush, I don't think, is in that category. I think this is like a, people that want synthetic and maybe are going to pay a little bit extra for comfort might be interested in this. So anyways, that's going to do it for this video. I want to thank everyone for watching. Let me know in the comments if you guys have any questions, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks.